You've got the thesis written to this resume. You spent some time and energy and attention to writing it. And let me tell you right off the bat, the more time that you spend writing that thesis, the more time that you spend in thought and in research and that market analysis and that product analysis and putting those things together, the better that thesis is going to be. If you try to skip these steps, if you just try to start writing things on a piece of paper, you're gonna end up with this autobiographical resume that most people end up with, and you really don't want that. You want something that's more unique, that's more you, that's better than everybody else's, because this is a competition. You're competing against other people that are doing the same kind of work or want to do the same kind of work. You've got to show this employer why you're better than they are, or that you can do the job better, that you have value that they don't have. In consumerism, you would want that 10% more free. You want to be that 10% more free than the other people that they have to choose from. So you want to think about writing this resume and making this resume unique, and it may help you get the job. You've got to spend that time in developing that thesis. That thesis is going to be everything. But now, once you've written this thesis, the focus moves from coming up with the thesis to proving the thesis. It's like a paper that you'd write for English class or for some other class. You've got to develop the thesis first. What is it that I'm trying to prove? And then number two, you've got to prove it. You've got to tell me or show the employer where you got those skills and how developed those skills are and how much you've got those skills. And so you've got to write this resume basically on two levels simultaneously. You got to write the resume in order to be screened, and you also have to write the resume to be evaluated. And they happen at two different times in the job search process. The first element is screening. That's why we have to write the thesis. The thesis is something that's got to be read quick. It's got to be read. It's got to be concise and to the point, because studies indicate that the average employer spends about 10 to 15 seconds writing a resume. That's it, 10 or 15 seconds. After 10 or 15 seconds, they've made a first impression, kind of decision about you. And so they're going through resumes, and there may be as much as 30 resumes. And that's typically about the average. 30 resumes for a job. They're going to pick your resume up for about 30 seconds. Not 30, 10 or 15 seconds. And they're going to read this resume in that 10 or 15 seconds. And when they get through, they're going to put you in one of two piles. One pile is called the maybes, and that's where you want to be. People that appear to have the skills and abilities that they're looking for, those are the maybes. They're going to go into the maybe pile. The people that appear to not have the skills and abilities they're looking for are going to go into the no pile. And the no pile is the garbage, basically. It may not be literally the garbage. They might put it in a file cabinet, or might put it in a file on their computer if they're scanned or something. But you're not being considered anymore. For all intents and purposes, you're in the garbage. And we have a lot of students at UAB who are very talented, very dedicated individuals who end up being the most qualified, the most talented piece of garbage in that employer's garbage can. And that's not going to get you or them anywhere if you're going to be the most talented piece of garbage in the garbage can. You want to get into the maybe pile. And so you have to present that thesis first. You've got to tell that employer very quickly and get to the point answering that question. Why should they hire you? Boom, here it is. Short, concise, to the point. If you spend a lot of time in hiding the skills, burying the skills throughout the resume, then the employer has to play Where's Waldo with your resume. They're not going to spend that kind of time. They don't have that kind of energy or ability to scan through your resume and pick out the skills. If they don't see them quickly, it's going into the garbage and they're going on to somebody else. You've got to do it fast, and that's that evaluation period. You have 10 seconds. That's the first hurdle you have to overcome, is the 10-second hurdle. The second hurdle you have to overcome is, well, if I've got 30 resumes for a particular job, and I'm the employer, and I'm evaluating those resumes, and I'm putting them into those two stacks, maybes and trash, how many resumes would you guess go into this maybe pile out of 30? 20? No. 15? No. 10? No. The average is about 10% of resumes. So out of 30, we're talking about 3, maybe as many as 5. 3 to 5 resumes are going to go into this maybe pile. And you've got 10 seconds to get there. So the adage is that you have 10 seconds to make the top 10%. That's how competitive this process is. That's how much you have to speak to the employer quickly, and that's the amount of time that you get to do that. It's just very quick, very short. And so you have to present your resume, presenting your skill set and answering that question very fast.